Hello, Marla Mack here. If you are new to me, well, then a big hello to you. I am an aligned business guide and advanced human design specialist. So today I want to talk about consistency. One of the challenges that comes up again and again when I see people's questions from clients, from people joining my Facebook group, the Human Design Aligned Facebook group, is how do I become more consistent? I'm an XYZ design, right? My human design looks like this. How do I become more consistent in business? And the question, sometimes I can ask and sometimes I can't, is, the follow-up question is, what do you mean by consistency? And usually that will lead to, well, I'm being told by business coaches I need to show up more consistently, maybe social media posts, blog posts, right? In their marketing, videos, writing, that kind of thing. Absolutely. I think one of the biggest issues that I see time and time again with people struggling to build a business is lack of visibility. And so they need to just market more, really. They need to tell more people about their offer more often. And so with that, there comes this lesson or this guideline of consistency, right? Being out there on a more frequent basis and a more regular basis, right? Because if you go out there, market your offer, and then vanish for 6 months, right? People may not even know if you're still around a business. So I can understand that perspective and understand that point of view. But when it comes to consistency, this is where I want to zero in on. So once again, let's really sort of lay the groundwork of what consistency really means, especially in the context of this discussion, is we're talking about more consistent and maybe regular blog post writing, regular social media post writing, right, and publishing, videos, right, on a more consistent basis. Maybe somebody has a podcast that they want to start, and obviously they would feel this certain need for consistency because those are obviously what podcast coaches really preach. And so, here's some of the guidelines I like to say. And, when clients have some of these issues, this is what I talk about. There are two things that happened with regards to your business. There's what happens in front of the curtain, which is the visibility piece, what people see. And there's what happens behind the curtain, right? And if we think about a stage and we think about a theater production, well, what happens in front of the curtain, one thing is taking place, right? The unfolding of the story, the unfolding of the theater production, but in the background, other stuff is happening. Some of it is setting up for the next scene. Some of it is, changing the designs, changing the lighting, repositioning things, moving sets back and forth, right? And that kind of thing. And so what happens behind the scenes, right? Behind the curtain is really kind of where I want to talk about. What happens is people have taken this idea that because they need to be more consistent in front of the curtain means they have to, force themselves to somehow find a way to be more consistent behind the curtain. And this is where I want to shed some light and give you a new way of thinking about this. And behind the curtain is, like I said, the things that people don't see, but it's the stuff where you're doing work, behind your computer and, in your calls and other stuff that's going on that, people from a visibility perspective, maybe members of your Facebook group, people receiving your emails, people in your community may not necessarily see, right? What's going on behind the curtain. They'll see in front of the curtain. And so if you have a design where you just know, or you've kind of determined you don't have consistency, right? Maybe you're like, you know what, I really tried to write my blog posts on Mondays and that just doesn't work, right? I can't find the energy, the momentum, or the motivation to write every Monday. Or, I've got to produce, or I want to produce a video every week and I'm kind of falling flat on my face for that. And so one of the things I want to encourage you to look at is batching content. Now, batching content is not a new concept, but I really want you to reframe this and for you to picture this from a perspective of really understanding your human design and your energy flow. You see, if you're trying to put yourself in a position where you're like, I'm trying to write a blog post every Monday, and it just isn't happening, well, then, your energy is telling you something other than than that, right? Your natural flow is telling you that Mondays are just not blog post day, or, Monday is like, forcing yourself to write one every Monday is not correct energetically. And that's going to kind of fall on its face. So first of all, what you might find is if you have particular times or particular days where you're more energized to write, the ideas are flowing, the words are flowing, you can't wait to get pen to paper or, fingers to keyboard, then definitely that's going to be your day to write blog posts. So you want to look at batching content because you might be in a space where writing one blog post comes easy, but really you want to focus on writing 6 blog posts or 5 blog posts or get it started to write a bunch of blog posts, right? Whatever that may look like for you. And you want to batch that for a couple of reasons. First of all, your flow is your flow, right? And if words are flowing and coming, then you want to capitalize on that opportunity. Number 1. Number 2 is every time you switch hats in your business, it requires a bit of like shifting time, energetic rejigging time, and that is an interruption in your flow. So what do I mean by that? So for example, if you decide, you're going to write a blog post, and after that, you're going to do some paperwork, and after that, you're going to do a sales call, and after that, you're going to, take her something else, and after that, you're going to, and so on and so on and so on, right? Every time you do that, you're switching hats. Or if you want to use a car analogy, you're switching gears, right? And that takes a bit of time and energy for the engine to get back up to speed and revving properly and so on. Same goes for you energetically. So if you're really feeling vibed up about filming a video, does it feel good to film 2 or 3 or 4 videos, right? To batch them because, maybe your hair's washed, the makeup is on, right? You feel good, you look good, everything's ready to go. But also things are just flowing. Energetically, it feels good to do that. Don't hesitate to put that opportunity in your corner. And also what's going to happen is filming one video after another video is probably going to flow for you much more easily than it would to do one video, let's say 1 week, and then sit down and kind of, get yourself back into gear to do another video another week, right? And that kind of thing. So you go, okay, so I'm doing these things, batching it, right? So what do I do? Well, then your consistency comes from the 2 T's. It comes from your technology and your team, right? So if you don't have a team, don't worry about it. Technology can absolutely roll with this. Technology would be things like social media posting software, right? Or maybe you set up your blogs to publish at a later date, right? So if you are familiar with social media posting software, you can pre-program a post or a video or something to be published at a later date, right? There are some capabilities in Facebook, even in YouTube, right? And some others where you can actually schedule posts. So you really want to use that to your advantage instead of trying to forcing yourself, right? Like square peg round hole. Instead of forcing yourself and forcing your natural energy flow to work against nature and forcing yourself to kind of adhere to a certain schedule, what I encourage you to do is tune into your natural flow and your natural schedule and capitalize on that. So you're working with your energy as opposed to against your energy to actually create, things in the back end and then schedule them. So now you're creating that consistency on the front end, which is most important, right? There's no point trying to force yourself to be consistent on the back end if that's just not how your energy does flow or wants to flow. So who are the people who can best take advantage of this reframe? Well, I can say pretty much everybody. So no matter what your design is. What do I mean by this? Well, first of all, if you are a non-sacral type, so if you are a manifestor, if you are a projector, if you are a reflector, anybody without a defined sacral could certainly benefit from this reframe of, forcing the consistency. If you are a manifesting generator, right? Zoom, 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 back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You could benefit from this reframe. If you are an open root or undefined root, right? You can benefit from this reframe. If you are a defined root, right? Your root pulses on and then pulses off. You could also benefit from this reframe. Now, if you haven't been keeping track, because I mentioned open root and defined root, or undefined root, defined root, that's everybody. So everybody could actually take advantage of this reframe. But I still have a few more on my list. So I've mentioned the mangens, I've mentioned, the undefined sacrals, I've defined the roots. If your solar plexus is defined, right, you've got waves of up, waves of down. When you're in your low waves, you probably don't have that energy to show up, on video and be all happy and excited, right? That just might not be there for you sometimes. That's okay. If you have gate 15 defined without gate 5. So that's another possibility, right? You are not set in these rigid routines. You like flexibility, you like flow, right? Gate 15, the gate of extremes. If you have gate 9 defined without gate 52, right? Gate 9 focus without 52 stillness, right? There could be a lot of, focus on this, focus on that, focus on something else, focus over here, focus over there, right? So you could definitely benefit from this reframe. If you have gate 35 defined off of the throat, right? Gate 35, the gate of progress and change. Never like the same things twice, right? I am a mangen, I have open root, and I have gate 35 defined. I am telling you, consistency is not what I am about. But that's okay, because instead of beating myself up, which was my pre-human design days, right? Why can't I be more consistent? Why can't I this? Why can't I that, right? Why can't I show up like these successful people say that you're supposed to show up as? I've been able to reframe it as a way to say, well, what feels good for me, right? And honoring the fact I'm not consistent. That's okay. That just gives me a different way of framing my business so I can show up in a way that makes me feel good and have things happen in front of the curtain in a way that makes me feel good. And of course, create my own path to success that makes me feel good. And so these are really key things to keep in mind as you're looking at your business. So I don't want you to, from this moment on, I want you to stop beating yourself up or feeling like you cannot be successful in business because you lack this consistency gene, right? That seems to be like the absolute one, key to success. It's not. However, you really want to use tools and team to your advantage based on what you have available to you and what you can access. And trust me, technology is like, tools and technology are like the number one thing. They're very cost effective and they are extremely powerful. And take that pressure off of you to be consistent in the back end when what's actually really important is not consistency in the back end, but consistency on the front end. Be in front of the curtain, the theater performance, right? The performance of the actors, not the technicians and the lighting guys and the set guys in the background, right? There you can be inconsistent, put things into your technology, schedule them for a later date, and let that run the consistency for you. That's what the big guys do. They use technology and tools and systems and processes to get that consistency and hit their marks, right? Hit their cues for their theater performance, right? Their launch or whatever it is that they're doing, their visibility. That's what they do. They use technology and they use teams. So I hope that helped. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this, what kind of ahas landed for you. Of course, I wanted to also let you know if you are watching this video right around the time that it's being published and released, which is the second week of July 2023. On Friday, July 14th, I am closing the doors to my beta Kickstart program. And the Business Alignment by Design beta version. I will be opening the door shortly to my full program. However, the investment goes up. So if you get in before or on by July 14th, 3 p.m. Eastern, you will get in at the lower price for the beta version. And then when the doors open and you're ready to move into the full program, you have your monthly investment honored from the beta program, which will be lower than when the full program opens. So if you want more information about that, you can post below. and comment below and I will respond. All right, so Marla Mack, Aligned Business Guide and Advanced Human Design Specialist from yourgenius.net, signing off today. I hope you have an awesome afternoon or morning or evening, depending on where you are. Cheers. Have a great day.